Hey, what's going on YouTube? Jay here with Homebrewed Vapes. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how I build some quad coils on my Mutation X V2. They're going to be 4 nano coils that I'm going to put down that actually one of my friends calls the Locomotive 3000 because this thing puts out some vapor. But anybody who knows how to do the nano dragons and stuff like that, this is just a different variation of that. So if you've done that kind of build before, this is just doubling the coils and then keeping them straight vertical. But the idea of keeping the cotton underneath it's still the same and leaving those top holes open. But let's get down, show you guys how to build this thing, and we'll vape on it and see what she does. Okay, so here's what we got. I'm using 26 gauge Canthal. I'm going to put it on this 20 gauge blunt tip syringe needle to wrap it on. And what we're going to do is 12 wraps because I want to try to get this set up around about 0.25 ohm. So I believe 4 of these with 12 wraps should get me right in that ballpark. The thing you want to make sure of is that, let me get this a little closer to you here. You get these nice and tight. So that first one we don't count. So 1, 2. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Go ahead and unwrap this first one. Man. There we go, focus. Nope. Let's try it again. There we go. There we go, focus. So we're just gonna push it up against the wall there, straighten out our leads, cut off the excess. We'll get all 4 of these done. And we'll get it put in the RDA. But that's what it should look like whenever you're done. Minus this part, but that's just where I took it off the roll. So I'll get these other 3 spun up, and we'll get it inserted on the RDA, wicked up, and show you how she vapes. Okay, so here's what we got. What we're going to do is we're going to be putting these back to back. Show you what we got here as far as a finished product. Well, not finished product, but soon to be. But anyway, we're going to put these back to back on the RDA. And what I'm using here is my Mutation X V2. Love building on this thing. It's just easy to build on. Not only that, but for doing builds like this, you've got a lot of room. The only downside I will say to this thing is the size of the post holes are not the biggest in the world, but they've been able to fit pretty much everything I've been able to throw at them, except for a couple of my twisted builds I like doing. But anyway, so what we're going to start out doing is we're going to get this first one installed here. And the second one, we're just going to slide in from the back here. Get them set up, and then we can get these posts tied down. Now, we're going to be building vertical coils with these. So, whenever we twist them up, you're going to lose some of your length on your wire. So, it's going to pull it in, basically. And then I want to bring them in towards the center a little bit. So, what I'm doing is, I'm going to bring them out here to the outside, just to the outside of the cup a little bit. Now they want to fall off. Let's do like this. So right about there is where I'm going to tighten these down at. The fun part is getting them to stay where you want them to go. So we get a good hold on those. Snug them down just for a second so they don't go anywhere. Alright, now we're going to put a tighten on them. There we go. Snip off the excess. And I gotta get me some new cutters already, because I tried cutting something I shouldn't have, some steel wire for like fence, and ended up putting grooves in this poor thing. So yeah, my dumb, but oh well. Still works for now. Alright, so there's our access cut off. So now what we're going to do is we're going to insert our blunt tip in here, or whatever you're using. We're just going to give it a nice vertical twist. Pull it up tight. Tighten up that coil a little bit. We're going to bring it in. Just like so. Now, one thing you want to be sure of is that your lead, let me zoom in here a little bit for you, but that your wire does not touch your positive post that's coming from here. Now, you can use just a 3-post designed RDA for this kind of build. It's just a little easier on these kinds of posts, the center posts. And there we go. There's our first 2. Let me get these other 2 thrown in. We'll get it wicked up, and I'll show you how we get that done. Be right back. Alright, so here's what we got. Here's what we ended up with. Got our quad coil set up, our nanos. Should come out to 0.27 ohms. So it's pretty close. 0.24. Make sure this is tight. Okay, 0.24 ohms. So let's get her wicked up. What I'm going to be using today is my Kojindo Japanese cotton. What I did was I cut off about 5 millimeters, just thick enough to where it's about the same size as a coil, but a little bit longer because it's got to sit underneath it. Now, it's going to be kind of a figure 8 configuration through here, but we're going to go behind both coils first and bring it around just because it's a little easier that way. So what we're going to do is we'll go behind our first coil here. Tighten this up a little bit more. There we go. Now we're going to go, well, let me go ahead and pull it through, because I'm going to go behind the second coil also. Here's where the fun part comes in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my blunt tip syringe. You can use a piece of Kanthal even if you want to do that, and just kind of feed it behind this second coil here. And the biggest thing with this is just making sure that it's not super tight. Like I said, you just want it making good contact with it. So let's pull this through. There we go. Get it to where it's sliding nice and even. Now once you get to this point, we're just going to take this, bring it back around. And this is kind of like wicking a Dragon Nano from this point on. So we're going to cut off our access of this first piece here. And then what we're going to do is tuck it in behind here where we first started feeding it through, just like so. Let it come around and underneath, but it's very important that it's touching the whole coil and just leaving the top part open. Because what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to bring a little bit more cotton in under here, just a little cotton cloud for both of these coils to sit on. Go ahead and get this side cut. said, leave the top open, but just make sure you're making contact with the whole coil. There we go. So you're going to look like this. And this is why it's important also not to have it too tight when you're going behind it, because you need to leave some room for the cotton to tuck in from the second piece here, or the second end, I should say. But that's how you're going to wick her up. Oh, here, I'll go ahead and get the cotton cloud made up. So I'll just take some of this here, Japanese cotton. We're just going to kind of pull it apart. Just nice and fluff it up. Actually, we don't need that part there. Just a little fluff. I mean, tiny, not much at all. We're just going to feed this down underneath into the juice well. Attention to detail. That's all this is. The other thing too is you want to make sure and leave some room between here and here. That's part of keeping it thin too, is you want to have good airflow around the coils themselves. Alright, so there's the first side. I won't bore you. I'll go ahead and get the other side wicked up, and then we'll juice her up and vape on her. Alright, so we'll give you an idea what she looks like. Cap her up and let's vape on her. And we're back. So here's what we got here. The quad coils, I already juiced them up. I got it set up at 85 watts. And they are already turning. I had actually shot this video already, and it set my smoke alarm off halfway down my house. So I had to open the windows up, turn the attic fan on, and clear the house out and reshoot this segment. So I apologize. These are the same coils and the same cotton. It's just I was vaping on it for a little while in that other video that I had shot. So reshooting. Here we go, round two. But 85 watts. This is 4.6 volts. Still at 0.24 ohms. And yeah, there's a lot of wind right now because, like I said, I've got the windows open and the attic fan on. So try to keep the smoke detector from going off again. Give these another little tighten just to make sure we're getting everything. Alright, so let's juice her up one more time. I'll vape on her, show you what she does. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to close the air holes down to about halfway on both sides, because even though this is a quad coil build, you still don't need that much airflow with it, especially at like 85 watts. So oh, the air's going everywhere. Tell you what, let me shut the window real quick. Alright. Try that again. And that's at 85 watts. Try to see if we can show you that. That should... oh well. Let's see. We'll do it like this. There we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it all the way up to 150. And we're going to open up the air holes, because I do know that this thing will get hot real quick if I don't. And I'm just going to put a couple drops down in there just to make sure I don't die. And that was what, a 3-second pull? If we take a big pull, now you can see why the smoke alarm was going off. But yeah, I mean, if for your low ohm vapors out there, for the guys who are chasing the clouds, that is a good build to do. And the only reason I'm going to say that is you see these guys out there building with 22 gauge, 20 gauge, 18 gauge, and a lot of these RDAs, whenever you're building with those, you really don't have a whole lot of room to build with them. Now, this is 26 gauge, 12 wraps each, just a quad coil. So it saves you room on your RDA deck. You're still getting a great vape out of it. A lot of vapor production. I mean, pretty well a good cloud chasing build. You still get a flavor, a good flavor out of it. It's not the best flavor build out there by far, but you still get a good flavor out of it. You can turn it down, and vape it at 50 watts if you want to, and it's a nice cool vape. I'll turn it down to 50 watts here, and we're going to close the air holes back off because don't need it all the way open. So I'm down to 3 holes on each side. And that's just a nice easy vape. So you get a little bit of your flavor back. But like I said, this is not a flavor build. This is just a low ohm, get you some kind of cloud chasing build. So 60 watts. Now 60 watts is more my taste on that one. That is a good, it's a little bit of a warmer vape finally. It's warming up. You're getting a little more of the flavor. You still get good cloud production. So that right there for me is the happy medium. That's your flavor and cloud production wattage right there for this build. And that was a 0.24 ohm quad coil on my Mutation X version 2. And that's at 60 watts. So I mean, actually looks like one of my coils isn't firing. Oh, it is. I just couldn't see with the other ones. But anyway, so that is that. If you guys have any questions about it, comment below. I'll definitely get to it. And also, there's one thing I wanted to talk about. I'm going to leave a link below to a video that I would very much appreciate if you guys would watch it, share it, spread it around. And it's very important. And the only reason I say that is I talked about, CASA.org, and you hear a lot of the other reviewers talk about CASA.org also. And it is very important that you get active in your state. But this video is going to show you why it's very important. It's not a very long video. It's only a couple minutes long. But it explains to you exactly what's going on with the places like California and New York, the places that are trying to ban e-cigarette use in their states. Back in, I think it was 1984, something like that, back in the 80s, Big Tobacco had basically made a yearly settlement to, I think it was 42 of the states. That's so they can cut down on the lawsuits from these states for the smokers that were dying of lung diseases and stuff like that. So it's kind of like a blanket payoff to all of these states. So the states were getting these revenues in and counting on that money every year from these big tobacco companies. Well, since the electronic cigarettes have come out and everybody is switching to vaping, they're losing big time on their revenues coming in. I mean, they're actually projecting, I think, like a 60% drop in smokers and 100 times, doubling the size or the amount of vapors that are out there from what it was in 2013. So they're losing a lot of money. And that's why you're seeing these states that are going after the electronic cigarettes and the e-liquids and all the stuff that goes with it, the batteries and everything, and trying to put taxes on all this stuff and bans. That is why I say it is very, very important that you get active in your state and, not just let somebody else take care of it. But watch the video if you would. Spread it around, put it on your Facebook, send it through your YouTube channels, whatever you can do to get it out there, because I believe wholeheartedly that this is something that everybody needs to know and understand, because it does pinpoint exactly what is going on with the vaping community and what we're facing right now. So if you're liking this, and you've been off the cigarettes now for however long, if you're just quitting, you know, and you're trying to save yourself money by doing the vaping, this is something that is for you also that you really need to know. It is worth quitting. You'll never regret quitting, you know, the smoking that is, and going to vaping. It's a much healthier lifestyle. It is a lifestyle. You know, I'll tell you that much. This is something I got into wholeheartedly and love it. I love building. I love doing these videos and sharing my knowledge with you guys. And I love learning about this stuff. You know, I learn new things every day from the other reviewers out there and just people that I talk to online and on these forums. So, but if you would very much, I would appreciate it. Please pass this along, and I will leave a link below. CASA.org, fight for your right to vape. And I think for today, that is all I got for you guys. But one more hit, and we'll be out of here.